How we doing, guys? Welcome to my Musa guide video for Aakmans Hystria. Now today I'm just going to knock out both of those guides in one because the skill rotations you're going to be using for these zones are exactly the same. Well, the skill rotation I'm using is exactly the same, and I'm getting good returns from these areas. If there's any things that you want to do slightly differently, go ahead, do it your way, but this is a guide for people that haven't entered these zones on a Musa and just want to know what someone else on console does and what kind of success they're having. I'll go through what kind of trashes I'm getting and the skills I'm getting a bit later on. But the first thing we're going to start with is minimum requirements. So in terms of minimum requirements, in my opinion, you're going to have to be at least level 60 to go into Aakmans and at least 61 for Hystria. Obviously, if you can get 61 for Aakmans, it's better, and if you can get 62 for Hystria, it's better. But obviously, 62 on console it's a pretty hard milestone to hit. So 61 is fine, and that's what I grind Hystria with all the classes that I've got, except for Wizard, who is 62. So the next thing we're going to go through is skill points. How many skill points you need and what skills you need to unlock to grind these zones. And I'm going to be giving you guys the bare bones. I mean, like, this is the minimum number of skill points you're going to need and skills you're going to need to unlock to grind these zones efficiently. But obviously, you're going to want more skill points and a lot of different skills to be able to do PvP. But this guide is specifically focused for PvE. So if you want the bare bones build, you're going to need 1035 skill points. And we're going to start off in our Awakening. We're skipping Fiery Angel and Counter Assassination. Good PvP moves, but we're not using them in the grind zones. Spinner, you get tier 1 as default, and you're also going to keep it tier 1. You're not going to upgrade this one. But Fiery Crevice, you're going to max out. You're going to get the Flow Dash Slash. You're going to get the Flow Twister. You're going to get the Flow, well, you're going to get the move Musa Spirit. And you're going to pick up One Step Back. Max out Crosscut, sorry. You're going to skip Protection. You're going to pick up Backfloat. You're going to grab the Nemesis Slash. You're picking up Foul Play. You're skipping Extra Credit. You're maxing out Cross Crusher, and you're maxing out Below the Belt for your Awakening skills. And your pre-Awakening, you are going to get the absolute Blind Thrust by maxing out Blind Thrust first, obviously. And then you're going to get tier 2 Chase and Ultimate Chase. After that, you're going to max out Musa Spirit to tier 3 and pick up its Absolute. You're also going to max out Dragon Bite and pick up its Absolute. And then once you've got those, you're going to max out Rising Storm, get Ultimate, and get Absolute Rising Storm as well. You're also going to get tier 2 Stub Arrow, just so you can get the Rebalm in a minute. Before we get to the Rebalms though, you're going to max out Sword Training to 10. You're going to, well, as high as you can take it, but 10 if you're level 60. And you're going to get the Maneuver Training to 10 as well, Infantry Master to 6, and Skilled Hunter to 5. Once you got those, in terms of Rebalms, you're going to want to pick up Musa Spirit and Quick Shot. These are the Rebalms that you're going to want to pick up. Once you've got those skills, before we go into the rotation, I'm going to talk about other requirements for the two zones. So for Aakmans, I'd recommend using Tech Kudum, and you're going to want around 240 to 245 AP with Tech Kudum. A couple of people that I know have told me with a loot scroll, they're getting between 5 to 5,500 trash at the 245 AP Kudums. Personally, myself with 270 AP Nuva, I did around just over 6,000 trash when I went to Aakmans, but I was slowed down. I was over clearing, and I could have definitely got more if I took the time to get my rotations down a bit cleaner. It's not like rotations, sorry, that's not the right one. To get my pools down a bit cleaner and pick better rooms. I was not in a good room for grinding, so that slew me down a lot. So I know I can get more than that with the AP that I'm at. But in terms of Hystria, I would probably recommend the 269 bracket. It'd be worth going in there. 261, you can start clearing 261 Musa. I think you're going to be getting around, if I remember correctly, 2.2 thousand trash an hour at the 261 bracket. I might be a little bit off, so I only did one quick test for that one. but because of how good Musa grinds Aakmans, he's the best Aakmans grinder in my opinion. It's just better for you to stick into Aakmans, and at 269 bracket start with Nuva. These are Nuva brackets I'm talking about. 269 start coming to Hystria. But in terms of DP requirements for the two zones, for Aakmans I recommend minimum 290, preferably 301 if you can get it. It's really going to help you out. If you're 290, you're going to want to pick up some extra elixirs that I'll point out a bit later on, these two over here. But 301 you should be quite comfortable, and for Hystria I'd recommend 301 DP for Hystria. If you're a bit lower, maybe like 298, 297, 298, again, just going to pick up these two extra elixirs to help your survivability down there, and maybe avoid those zones at nighttime if you're not 301. And even if you're 301, still be careful, because nighttime these guys do hit really, really hard. And in terms of the crystal setup, now I'll tell you what I've got and what the best in slot is, and then the recommendations I'll give to you if you're on the lower DPs or the first couple times of going down there, because likelihood is something's going to go wrong at some point and you're going to die, and you don't want to lose your expensive crystals. So spend a couple hours. When you get comfortable, then upgrade to your higher grade crystals. If you currently have the best in slot crystals and you're worried about losing them, go to the loyalty shop, get the crystal extraction tools, get your expensive crystals out and replace them with cheap ones. But what I'm using is precision crystals. These are only 6 mil pop, so I'd recommend just grabbing these off the bat. The crit crystals is very important for the Musa. Crit damage scaling is really good on this class, so I definitely recommend that one for grinding, and they're cheap. So I've got the Jin half-year crystals here, which gives me the 20 evasion. Actually, we've got a new thing I can show you here. Oh, this is much better. So yeah, I've got the Jin half-year crystals here, which give you 20 evasion and 50 HP with 5 HP recovery. For the cheap version, just get the base black magic crystal. I think is around, not even the black magic crystal, just the base crystal that gives you 50 HP. It's a couple of mil. It's not expensive at all. So it gives you 50 HP and 5 HP recovery. Just grab that one. For the armor, either Bon or Jin core bonus crystals is what I'd recommend. The giant crystal you see there is one that we got from a loyalty reward a long time ago. I've just been fortunate that it hasn't broken when I've died in PvE so far. It's the equivalent of a core bonus crystal pretty much, but with a little bit extra resistances in there. That's the difference. So if you got that, just pop it in there. If not, do those. And for the cheap version, the black magic vigor crystals when you want to get here. Now I've got Jin Vipers, but for the cheap version, if you want to go really cheap, get the precision crystals, black magic precision. If you want to go slightly more expensive, just get one of the Bon or one Viper crystals. That would do you pretty good down there as well. And for boots, I've got the Jin Hystria crystals. I like the 2 movement speed and more importantly the stamina that it gives. It's really, really good, the stamina. But for the cheap version, just get the adamantium knockdown crystals. They're very effective for high-end zones as well, and they're probably going to keep you alive. For survivability, those are going to be better. This is more just for efficiency rather than survivability. The other one is really going to help you out for not getting knocked down and not getting CC'd, which in turn is kind of going to increase your efficiency, because if you're not getting knocked down and you're not getting CC'd, you're doing damage. So keep that in mind. And in terms of food buffs, I would recommend these two here, Jungle Hamburg and Camisylvia Meal. Very, very important. So the Camisylvia, the 150 HP, 200 stam is really, really good, and 5% back damage is VIP. And also 5% crit damage is really, really nice on the Jungle Hamburg. Now, if you want to go for efficiency, I'd pick up the Serendia Meal here. 10 accuracy is really nice, AP is good, crit +1 is good. But if you, again, survivability issues, pick up the Valencia Meal, your lower DP. Substreet Serendia Meal, grab the Valencia Meal to get some evasions, some resistances, damage reduction from monsters, and ignore resistances. So that is it in terms of the food buffs. If you are going to be grinding high-end zones, really think about getting the missions complete that allow you to hand in this Black Spirit Claw to access the high-end zones. You hand this into the Aakmans Node Manager, and if you've completed the relevant quests, he's either going to take you to Aakmans or Hystria, and he's going to give you the choice if you've unlocked both. I'm not going to be showing you guys how to do that in this video, because it's a very long process to get these done. It's going to take you 2 to 3 hours for each quest line, you're just going to have to go on YouTube and just type in Aakmans quest line or Hystria quest line portals, sorry, Aakmans like portal quest line and Hystria portal quest line, and it will give you the relevant quests and show you step-by-step guides to do it. Plenty of YouTubers have made videos for that in the past. Obviously, you want to take some HP potions and WP potions. It's up to you whether or not you want to get large or extra large here. I just prefer these because it's a bit less weight and I can carry more of them, and I just set it to 32% for the large ones, and I think for the extra large ones I set it around 20 to 25%. But you're not going to be using too many of these. You're going to be using them, but you're not going to be guzzling them down in high-end zones because of Spirit Perfume Elixir. I think this is really key for Musa grinding. The +3 MPWP SP is really great for when you're grinding. It keeps your mana up. It reduces your need of having to use those mana pots. The 300 HP is really good for survivability if you've got some issues down there. And but the most important thing is the 5 crit. Not all the Musa skills have high or maximum crit values, crit percentage chances on them. So this is really going to help you out. It's hard to get +5 crit without sacrificing some crystal setups on console because we don't have access to those droughts and those cron meals that PC have. So it is more difficult for us. But if you're not going to be getting the Perfume Elixir, you don't want it because you can't buy these on the market for EU Xbox at the minute. So you'd have to grind the mats out yourself. Just go on Google, type in Spirit Perfume BDO. It will tell you the list of ingredients that you need. And then if you need to know where to find them, again, just type that ingredient and BDO into either YouTube or Reddit or Google, and it will tell you where to pick up those mats as well to craft this for yourself. I made about 100 of these, which is the equivalent of 2,000 2,000 minutes of grinding, which is a very, very long time, so I won't need to do a top up for a while. And in terms of your main body of elixirs you want to take, draining is your most important one. Assassination is also really, really good. So obviously draining +3 HP per crit, that's going to give you a lot of sustain. It's the most important high-end grinding elixir there is, in my opinion. Assassination, back attack damage +10%, concentration, accuracy +8. These are all really important for high-end grinding. And if you have high DP and you're not dying and you're comfortable, use the frenzy elixirs. But if you've got DP issues, just use the fury elixirs. Now, this one here is a personal choice for me. I just like using the swiftness crystal, swiftness elixir, sorry, to max out my movement speed. But it's not a must. There's one thing you need to know. The more elixirs you're using, the more elixirs you have to manage. That can sometimes get in the way of your grinding. So just keep that in mind. But I like using it. I'm good at managing my elixirs. I've gotten used to it now. So I'm going to stick with the swiftness crystals. If you lower on DP and you've got survivability issues, you want to get elixir of sharp resistances and elixir of will. So this gives 15% less chance of... You basically get 50% less chance of getting CC'd, which is really going to help you out. And Remarkable, 10% less damage from monsters. If you get the blue versions, it's better than the green versions. I'd recommend the blue, but the green versions is really good as well. The last one which I forgot to pick up is a Grim Reaper elixir. Grim Reaper is exactly the same as draining, but instead of +3 on crit hit, it's +1 on any hit. So that's going to give you even more sustainability. And if you're really, really still having issues, grab your extra life and steal defense. This is a last resort. It's going to be a lot of elixir management if you do this. So test it out, but it's going to be quite hard to stay on top of everything because if you do decide to pick up the steal defense and life. But again, that is completely up to you. If that is what you want to do, then go ahead and get it done. And finally, in terms of alchemy stones, for efficiency, you want destruction stone, and for survivability, you want protection. So it just depends where you are. Again, you got no problems with your DP, then go for destruction. If you're having a bit of issues, you're taking a bit too much damage, get protection. You can always go to the central market if you don't have the real stones and get the one-time use versions, which is if you go to alchemy stones, spirit stones, just grab destruction stones or guardian spirit stones. These are almost exactly the same as the alchemy version of that. And once you have all these, finally the invitation is another important one if you've got a tent. Obviously tent buff is going to be very important, so definitely pick that one up. Now once you've got all of these elixirs sorted out for yourself, your food buffs, you've got your AP, you've got your DP, you're almost ready to go into the high-end zones. We're going to have to quickly go over skill add-ons. After that, we're going to go through our skill rotation. Then we're going to go to Hystria and show you what it looks like grinding Hystria. I won't be showing Aakmans, but all the moves that you're going to see is directly applicable for Aakmans, so keep that in mind. So in terms of skill add-ons, this is the optimal skill add-ons that I've chosen for Musa, the way I like to play it. But I think in terms of PvE, this is really the core set of skill add-ons you're going to want, because the same skill add-ons don't stack. Now what I mean by that is this 10% attack speed you get on Rising Storm will not stack with any other 10% attack speed you get from skill add-ons. So you're not going to get, if I use Rising Storm and I use Crosscut, I'm not going to get plus 20% attack speed. I'm just going to refresh the timer. So I've just picked out the most important PvE add-ons, and I've put them in the skills that you use the most to make sure that you always have them up when you're grinding and you're not overdoing it. So you're not wasting add-ons by having multiple attack speed items where you don't need them. I think you just need the one attack speed item in your pre-awakening and the one attack speed in your awakening. That's more than enough. And again, for PvE damage against monsters, again, just one monster damage buff in your pre-awakening and one monster damage buff in your awakening. By the time you cycle your skills, you should always have that damage buff up to maximize your damage, obviously. So I've also incorporated some PvP skill add-ons here, so you can get the best of both worlds. Now the PvP skill add-ons, you can change them if you like. These are just the ones that I like to use for PvP skill add-ons. But the most important skill add-on really is crit hit rates for Musa, because of your scaling. It's really, really good for damage output for both PvP and PvE. So Dragon Bite's definitely going to grab that 20% extra crit hit rate for 9 seconds. And for the PvP version, we've got the -7% movement speed for your target. Blind Thrust, we've gone for the +5 PvP attack, bit more damage in PvP. And we've got for 42 bleeding damage, which is good for both PvE and PvP, for that little bit of extra damage over time. And Rising Storm, we've got 10% attack speed, great for both, again, PvP and PvE, and the 20 attack against monsters, just to help your moves hit that much harder. And for your pre-awakening, Crosscut is one of the most spamming moves you're going to use, so you're always really going to have that plus 10% attack speed up. That's why it's quite good to put it on Crosscut, and +5 attack for PvP, which is pretty good as well. But Cross Crusher, again, 30 is the highest attack I've seen against monsters, so you're going to get plus 30 attack when you use this against monsters and 20% crit hit rate, which means the flow is really going to hit hard in PvE and even PvP. That 20% extra crit hit rate, your flow for Cross Crusher is going to really chunk when you use it. And then finally, Dash Slash, evasion +4, which is good for both PvP and PvE, but accuracy +4% as well is really going to help you get maximum damage out there. But if there's a few things that you want to change around for yourselves, go ahead and do it. I'd highly recommend keeping the attack speed ones that you see here and the crit hit rate ones that you see here as well. Those are the most important ones in my opinion. But now that we've got the skill add-ons, we're almost ready to start grinding in high-end zones. We just have to go over our skill rotation. So I'll see you guys in Battle Arena in just a moment. So the skill rotations you're going to be using in high-end grinding is you're going to start with your pre-awakening to get your skill add-ons and the self-buffs that the actual skills themselves do to maximize your damage in your awakening. Now these first 3 skills that I'm going to show you, the first 3 pre-awakening skills, you can pretty much do them whatever order you like, but the order I like to start when I'm grinding is I go from Dragon Bite into Rising Storm into Absolute Blind Thrust. That's how I start my combos in high-end grinding, but there are people out there that I've seen that start with Blind Thrust, go into Dragon Bite, and then end with Rising Storm. And again, I've seen people start with Rising Storm, go to Blind Thrust, and then end with Absolute Dragon Bite. It's pretty optional. I don't think it'll be any difference in your clear speed no matter what order you do them in. I just find it more intuitive in terms of button presses to go from Dragon Bite into Rising Storm into Blind Thrust. Like, muscle memory for button presses, that's what I like to do. If you've learned to do that combo differently, then do it your way. But once you've got those, once you've got these moves down, you're going to C-swap into your Awakening. Then you're going to do your cross cut. Then, well, you're going to do one cross cut and you're going to cancel with Fiery Crevice. Now, the important thing, after you cancel with Fiery Crevice, you're going to hold back and right bumper to do Spinner. But you're going to cancel your Spinner with Twister. So what that's going to look like is going to look like that. So you get your 10% attack speed and you cancel this long animation of Spinner with the quick animation of Twister. And Spinner doesn't do a lot of damage, even when you max it out, which I'm doing right now because sometimes I don't cancel it on time. It still doesn't do that much damage at max rank, so Twister's going to get you more damage, but you just want the attack speed buff from the Spinner. And then after that, you pretty much want to try and get the back of the mob. You'll go to Flow Dash, below the belt, and then below the belt, you'll go Cross Cut, Back Flow, and then you want to try and get the back of the mobs and do Cross Crusher, Foul Play. And at this point, if they're not dead, you basically just do Cross Crusher, Fiery Crevice, Twister. You're spamming Cross Crusher and Fiery Crevice and Twister as the main three things to finish them off. If you are a bit lower AP and it's going to take you a while to kill them after this combo, you will, instead of spamming those moves that I showed you, you will go back into your pre-awakening and rebuff and start again. So what that's going to look like from beginning to end, if you have a bit lower AP and you got to go through multiple cycles to kill the mobs, it's going to look like this. And they should basically be dead by then. If they're not, if they're almost dead, I wouldn't recommend going back into your pre-awakening. You're basically just going to end with just cross cuts, Fiery Crevices. You can even do Fiery Crevice to one step back is another good one as well. You just spam these moves until they're dead, if they're close to being dead. I'll show you what that looks like once we get in the high-end zone so you can see it in practice. But that is your skill rotation for Musa. If you want to practice that in BA, it's going to help you out before you get down there to get your muscle memory down. Alright, so I've got myself to Hystria. So I'm going to show you guys all the different rooms and how I pull these rooms on the Musa class. Some of the pulls might not be perfect. It probably can be tweaked a little bit. But it's definitely a good base point to get you guys started. The two rooms at the end that I'm going to show you I spend the most time in, so I'm pretty sure I'll let you know which rooms they are. It's basically the 7 Elton and the Black Shard rotations. Those two rooms I grind a lot, so I've got those on lockdown, and I'm pretty sure I pull them as best as you can. But the other ones I don't grind that much, so there might be some variations that might help you just get a little bit more trash in those rooms. So keep that in mind, but if you don't have any experience down here, then definitely use this as your baseline for pulling the mobs. But once you come down there, obviously important one here, if you need more potions, HP pots, repair your gear, sell some trash, you got the merchant just over here by Hystria Runes, and your exit is just up here in this gap. But from the merchant, we're going to start with the right side of Hystria first. I'll see you guys in a second. So this is a good area to buff up. It's a nice little safe zone for side rotation in Hystria. I'd recommend just coming up here and popping all your elixirs to get yourself buffed up. I'm not going to be popping my temp buff because I just can't be bothered to find a spot to pop it. But we'll pop all our elixirs and I'll just show you what the grind looks like and what the pulls that I do for side rotation are. And I'll also throw in the extensions in there as well, in case you guys need that when you're grinding side rotation in Hystria. So we are going to start over here. I forgot to take my pets out earlier, so it's going to be a little cut. But we'll start side rotation over here. You're going to come and use your Musa Spirit to aggro all the demols, and then you're going to come to this side of the Elton and start off your rotation. So we're just trying to get the backs of the mobs as much as we can. And then after this mob, this next pull is going to be the hardest pull. So I'd recommend just cross-cutting those demos there, and then coming and Musa Spiriting up here, then go behind the Turk, or the 2-car Bolton, and do your rotation here. And then once those guys are done, we're going to use Musa Spirit to aggro this side. And then you can use crosscut like this, or you can also use quick shot to aggro the demos, just however you prefer doing it. And again, go through your rotation on this mob. Try and get their back as much as possible for your big moves. Clear them like so, and then we're going to come Musa Spirit these guys, hit that guy with the arrow, get behind the Bolton again, just try and get their backs as much as possible. Crosscut's a really good way of just getting around and getting behind them. We missed the vodka there, but that's fine. I won't waste your time. If you miss a mob, don't waste your time killing that one mob. Just come to the next one. We're going to use Musa Spirit to aggro those guys, bring them behind this Vodkan. And given that we don't get CC'd, go through our rotation. And then once those guys are done, again, Musa Spirit, grab these guys, hit a few up there. And clear these guys up. So, you can go back to the beginning of the rotation from here, if you don't have enough AP to overclear. If you are overclearing, you can extend by coming over here, aggroing these dudes. Yikes, and clearing like so. And there is also one more extension if you really have a lot of AP. I don't need to do this yet, but you can come over here and aggro these guys like so. Now that Vodkan didn't group up properly, but we'll just make it work. And that's pretty much all the extensions inside. This is as far as you can extend it if you're just looking at doing side rotation. And then you'd be going back and starting at the beginning, just over there. So now we're going to show you main rotation. So up here is a good safe spot for main rotation. You can't get hit by anything. So if you want to take a break and you're in main, this is where you want to be when you're going AFK. If you do go AFK in history, I'd recommend just switching characters, to be honest. But you can stay here if you like. And let's start off the main rotation. So Musa Spirit to grab those guys, bring everything behind this Elton. You want to rage whenever you got rage off cooldown. I'm just waiting for them to group up. So you see I was spamming crosscut with Fiery Crevice whilst waiting for that. And then once these guys are cleared out, you'll come up here. Grab the aggro of those guys. You're going to shoot that Kalkisha down there. Sometimes you'll over-grab mobs and that Kalkisha won't aggro, and sometimes he will. If he does, that's great. If not, then just keep doing what you normally do. And then once these guys are cleared out, you're going to come to this back room. Just Musa Spirit, grab anything you can over there. And then we'll come over here, Musa Spirit these guys, bring them to this Elton. Stay on top of your elixirs. And try not to get CC'd. I'm definitely doing a bit of a botch job here, but you can make it work. And then grab these guys. Don't forget your Musa Spirit is a nice way of getting some health back. Once you got those guys cleared, come grab these mobs. Usually there's Boltons at the post, but we aggroed him by accident earlier. So just aggro it to the Bolton normally. And then this one here is an extended rotation, so if you clear too fast, you'll include this mob, and if you don't clear fast enough, you actually skip this mob and you'll go to the next mob, which I'll show you guys in just a minute. So normally you could just skip these guys and come over here. Again, bring everything behind the Bolton. And then you're back to the beginning of main rotation. So now I'm going to show you guys 5 Elton rotation. This is going to combine both of main and side, but I'm just going to start the 5 Elton rotation inside rotation. So we're going to start over here again. Musa Spirit. If you miss one of the Dumos like I did there, just use the arrow to grab its aggro. Get behind this Elton here. Always be raging off cooldown to maximize. Also E-buff off cooldown as well. I'm not really E-buffing right now, but E-buff for cooldown, and I wouldn't recommend using your E-buff and your rage at the same time. I'd stagger those out to be as efficient as possible. You can use the arrow as well. There's one that's pretty low health. Just use your arrow to finish him off. There's just one Dumal left there. I'm just going to leave him. So from there, you're going to come clear this mob. We've gone a bit too quickly because this is where we ended our rotation last time. So anyway, I mean, it's the same as before. You just clear this mob for 5 Elton, and then you'd come over here after. Bring everything behind this Elton. Just going to E-buff here. And then I'd like to do this rotation over here, but normally you wouldn't. Normally the regular 5 Elton, you just go straight to the other Elton here. But I like how many, the density of Vodkans and Kalkishas in this part of the rotation I really like. So I add this into my 5 Elton, but you don't have to if you don't want to. You'd be a bit more efficient in trash per hour going the other way, but you're going to increase your chances of getting a black shot and technically a tongue rad neck because of the Vodkans if you do come over here before going to the next Elton. And then once that guy's all cleared up, so the difference now with the 5 Elton is you're also going to grab those 2 Vodkans and bring him to this Elton, because we're going to pull this next mob slightly differently than main rotation pulls. So we're going to just come over here to grab this Kalkisha. Grab the Kalkisha on the left, and then Musa Spirit those Demols on the right. And then we'll come over here. Grab these guys, and then this is the last mob for 5 Elton. You'll just go back into side room and then rinse and repeat the rotation. So these are the 3 rotations on the right side of Hystria. And I'll show you guys the other 3 rotations on the other side of Hystria in just a minute. So to get to the other side of Hystria, if you start the merchant here, we're going to go down the hill, and we're going to take a left instead of a right this time. So this is the first rotation we're going to show you on this side. So you grab these Kalkishas up here, you get everything, and you bring it behind the Bolton as per normal. I chased one too many times back there, so we missed out a lot of damage. Like I said, I'm not that great with the Musa. I'm still still make quite a few mistakes when grinding, so you can definitely get better numbers than me if you are well versed in this class. You won't get CC'd as much, and you'll be performing a lot cleaner combos than I am. But this next pull is pretty self-explanatory. You just bring him to the Elton. So right there, that was a really efficient way of killing, of the rotation that I showed you at the beginning before you came in here. I pretty much landed that one perfectly. And once those guys are cleared up, we'll come Musa Spirit this first pack, cross-cut the second pack, go into our pre-awakening. And clear these guys up. Now, from here, the extended rotation I'll show you first. If you're not extending rotation, you're basically going to pull this, you're going to go to this Elton, and then you're going to go to the mobs that I'm looking at right now by that tower, and you're going to pull those mobs by the tower to behind this Elton. The extended rotation, you're going to come here, you're going to grab these mobs, you're going to come to this side of the Elton, come here and Musa Spirit to grab these Demos, and then you're going to bring everything behind this Elton and stay as close as you can to the Elton so you don't lose the aggro of those Demos that we pulled at the very end, because the aggro radius is not so high. So just bear that in mind. The Vodkin also didn't aggro properly there, so just going to ignore him. And then once these guys are cleared up, we're going to come and grab the aggros of these dudes. And then we'll come grab these guys over here. Again, our elixirs are run out, I'm not really staying on top of them. And you're back at the beginning of the rotation here, so you just grab these Kalkishas, Musa Spirit these dudes, go behind the Dalton over there, clear it, and rinse and repeat. And that is basically the first rotation over here. Now let's show you the Black Shard rotation for Hystria, which is just through here. Now, we're going to start here, and at the very end I'll show you the extension for this rotation as well. So first you're going to come grab the I didn't hit those guys properly. Use crosscut, it's a lot better than Dragon Bite for aggroing mobs because you've got more of a radius. But you'd crosscut those guys, you'll Musa Spirit these dudes. And you'll start your rotation. I accidentally did Cross Crusher there, I didn't mean to. I just fat fingered it, but no worries, we'll just continue. If you accidentally do Cross Crusher at any point, I would recommend using the flow. I just didn't do the flow there because I'm old and slow, so I messed that a little bit up. But you'll come down to the Elton next. And clear these guys like so. Grab the aggro of everything over here. Just gonna wait for them to group up. Then come over here, grab as much aggro as you can, bring it to the Elton. And then we're going to grab the aggro of these guys. Musa Spirit over here. So if you don't overclear, you'd repeat your rotation, and if you do overclear, you're just going to come up this way to these two cars, or this two car, sorry. Musa Spirit, just move forward to grab these two Kalkishas, and then bring them back to the Bolton. And once these guys are cleared up, Musa Spirit over here. Grab usually that Kalkisha aggros as well. I think our Musa Spirited a bit too far up, so I grabbed the extra demo. You see that guy up there? I moved too far forward, so I grabbed the demo that I wasn't meant to grab. So just a bit further back than where I'm Musa Spirited if you want to be efficient. And then just rinse and repeat your rotation. Jump of shame right there. Oh well. Can't be asked to clear anymore there, but once you get those guys cleared up, then you're back to the beginning and you rinse and repeat. It's probably more efficient just to disengage a little bit earlier than I did and come here, because that Kalkisha that I was trying to kill just had a bit too much health. It's not worth spending too much time killing one guy. I'd recommend, especially as a Musa with how fast you move, just get to the next mob. But now let's show you 7 Elton rotation. Okay, so we are going to start the 7 Elton rotation. So it's 5 Eltons if you don't have that much AP and you've got to stay in the room in front of me. It's 6 Eltons if you've got a decent amount of AP and you just need to clear 1 extra Elton in this room. And it's 7 Eltons if you're at the AP where I'm at. When I'm grinding efficiently, that is, I need to pull both Eltons to not overclear. When I'm making a lot of mistakes, you've seen me make quite a few mistakes in this video here. When I'm making a lot of mistakes, my grind isn't as fast, so sometimes I don't need to pull 2 Eltons. But when I am grinding efficiently, I do need to pull 2 Eltons. So I always pull 2 even if I mess up, just to keep that rhythm going. That's how I like to do it. But let's show you this last rotation now. So the trick, when you get to this Elton here, just stick as close as you can to the Elton in that tower. So you grab those 2 Kalkishas and don't use any abilities. Just block until the other Elton comes around the corner. And then come over here. Make sure you're E-buffing on cooldown. And then once these guys are cleared up, Musa Spirit, cross cut, and if you just arrow up there, you should get the Kalkisha. I missed, unfortunately. If you miss, don't waste more time. Just keep going. But you want to try and hit the Kalkisha up there to aggro him down. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. Just keep clearing. And then over here, we're going to Musa Spirit. We'll throw an arrow at those guys. So if you did get the Kalkisha, you'd be able to aggro an extra mob. So if you arrow these demos, you'll aggro one of them to you. And if you didn't grab it, then you're not going to be able to grab the extra aggro. Musa Spirit up here. It's a bit too high. You actually want to Musa Spirit a bit further down to get these two demolds. Just keep that bit in mind. Musa Spirit is a bit high up there. And really what you want to do is take him behind the vodka, not the tanker. So that was another mistake in this pool. I can't be bothered to do it again and put a cut in. So we're just going to keep going. But normally you take it to the vodka, not the tanker. Because if you don't, as you can see here, the vodka's got a lot of health. And if you want to be efficient, you wouldn't waste your time clearing it. You just move on to the next mob. And then once you got these guys cleared out, like I said, if you need to extend, you'll come down here, you'll cross cut, Musa Spirit, bring him behind this Elton. One thing I like to do, sometimes when I've got to wait a lot, is I'll just go into the Gale extension on the pre-awakening, just to do a bit more damage. Because some mobs, it takes a bit longer to group than others. Another thing you can do instead of doing that is you'll buff up like this, and whilst you're waiting, you can just basically just spam crosscut and fiery crevice just to do extra damage that way. It's up to you which one you prefer. The fiery crevice is probably a bit more efficient than the cyclone / gale for damage, but I just like those moves, and I'm just to get a better muscle memory for PvP as well. And that is the 7 Elton rotation. You would normally go back. If you have a lot of AP, you'd come from underneath. So from there, so from where you were here, you'd come this way and you'd aggro these mobs over here. And you bring them to the top and you'd clear the mobs up here. But you'll need a lot of AP to do that. I don't even need to do that. So I'd clear those guys and I'll just cut back this way and come through and start again at the top. And that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd leave a like, I would appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.